Good afternoon, and today's pocket nines. We're in the cutoff, folds around us, and we are going to make a raise. Raise is three big blinds, it's a standard big blind, and we look at the players behind us, and unfortunately, we just got at the table and we don't have much information on anybody, so I just like to make my standard raise. On this hand, Villain 3 makes a 3-bet, complete unknown. As a cutoff, we have to think about what is he going to be doing this with. So if I was doing this, this is my 3-bet range. Something like this. He's got, pocket pairs, high pocket pairs. He's got, ace king suited, ace queen. And he's got and I have some of these suited aces. Now, what I think is telling is that he only did a min raise, and I think with the min raise, it's probably more of a speculative type hand. It's a hand that he probably wants to play, but he doesn't really want to raise it too much. I could probably say something like this with a min raise just to try to isolate, get position on me. I would assume that he would have raised larger with aces and kings. However, he could also be the type that says, instead of raising standard, I'm just going to raise small with my premium hands. I think that's what I'm gonna go with this. Big blind calls. He's got a big stack. I'm gonna assume that he is just a loose player. He's probably calling with most pockets. Probably doesn't 4-bet with queens. I think he probably 4-bets with aces and kings. I'm going to leave ace king in his range. I'm going to leave ace queens in his range. And then possibly the suited aces. I mean, the 5 big blinds isn't really big. And maybe suited connectors, just something like this. And it's back on me. And what do? At this point, we are going to definitely restrict our range. We're going to be out of position against 2 opponents. So when we look at this, where basically I would 4-bet aces and kings, and then I would probably just call with something like this. I think nines are at like the cutoff range. We could call. We might fold. This is actually pretty tight, and in reality, we could probably look to 4-bet much wider here. He really hasn't demonstrated a whole lot of strength, and with his min raise, I wouldn't expect that to be a whole lot of strength either. So I'm going to continue with this. It's just a strange 3-bet. That's all I can say. And I'm going to tell you, right now, I don't. I think seeing this, we should have probably taken the initiative with a hand that we had, and probably should have 4-bet. So our 4-bet, I think this should, along with aces and kings, that should be our 4-bet range. I think maybe some of these smaller pocket pairs we can call, some of these middle cards we can call, maybe some of the suited aces we can call. But I think we should probably just raise and pick up the pot at right then and there. So we have 56 combos. The board comes down 7-3-3. 7 of spades, 3 of spades, 3 of clubs. And villain 6, I believe, is going to check. I think he is going to check basically his entire range. I don't see why you would bet. And same thing, I think I'm going to be checking 100% of my range because he has initiative. Now, when I'm checking, I'm thinking I'm going to be likely check raising here. I think if I bet, there's really no incentive to get him to fold. We're going to see a turn, whereas if I check and he bets, I can raise him, and he actually might fold. So like I see him calling with ace king. I see him calling with, let's say, king queen, because I'm leading into him, and he's saying, well, he should have the lead. And then if a high card, if a 10 jack queen comes, I'm gonna probably have to be frozen. But if I check raise, then I can check on, and he calls, I can check on the turn. Now he's going to be worried that I'm going to check raise him again, and he'll probably check a lot of his hands. So I checked, and then villain checked. So with villain checking here, I expect him to bet with most of his overpairs. Maybe not aces and kings, but I think nines, tens, jacks, queens is probably going to check, or is probably going to bet. And then I think he's going to bet his flush draw. So once he checked, I think we're dealing with a lot of this, and we are going to X out his flush draws and the combos. So I think he is looking to be a lot weaker. He might still have aces and kings, but it's something we're going to pay attention to. So I have 100% of my range still. Let's get this on here. Oops. So we had 7 spades, 7, 3 spades, 3 clubs. We had 100% of our range. We have 56 combos. And we see a turn of the king of spades. And this is probably one of the worst cards that could possibly come for us with our hand. The spades gets there. An overcard gets there. At this point, I'm not sure how we can balance. Villain 6, I think, is probably going to check if he has a king. So if he just now hit top pair, or if he hit a flush, I think he's going to check and look for like a check raise or a check call and then lead the river. So he does check, so I'm going to say he's checking basically 100% of his range. It's on us. What do? Should we lead? And when you look at what we have, I think with top pair, if we had ace king, this could be a good spot to lead, but I kind of think we should be checking here, because if we bet and get raised, it's going to be hard for us to call. It's going to be hard to know, is he betting because he also has ace king, or is he betting because he just hit the flush and he's trying to build the pot, and it's going to build the pot and make it very uncomfortable for us. So I think even with our top pair, I think even with our flush, we're going to be checking. And with our flush, it's basically the nut flush here. We have all the hands. We're going to be checking here, hoping that he bets, and then hopefully villain 6 comes along, or maybe villain 6 raises us. I think at this point we're going to be checking and looking to get some help from the other players. So again, I'm going to be checking 100% of my range, and then villain 3 checks. So let's go to this. He's also in position, and now he's checked twice, and that's kind of interesting. So we had, again, 100% of our range. We've got 52 combos. He checks. Would he check top pair again? I don't think so. I don't think he would check top pair. And that leaves like pocket pair below the top card, so I think he might check there. But hold on. I take that. Sorry. He checked. I would have assumed he would have bet those. Let's get those fixed, because he doesn't have. He should have aces and kings in his hands. So yeah, it's possible he has a full house. I would expect him to bet there. I would expect him to bet the I guess he'll probably check his overpair. I think a top pair is probably going to bet. And then no made hand. Nut the draws. I would have assumed flush draws would bet. So we're going to get those out. So again, he narrows his range even more. And then the ace of diamonds, and again, if I can't imagine that we're ahead right now. With the king of spades, I mean, we might have been ahead with the king of spades coming out, but with the ace of diamonds, I think we've got way too many aces, suited aces, offsuit aces out there to worry about calling. So villain 5's checks. Is he going to check with 100% of his range? Probably. The board's scary. Even if he has one pair, I don't think he's going to be betting it. It's on us. Do we bet? I mean, we have a flush. we could probably bet, but if we bet, do I think worse hands are gonna call? I don't think a king's gonna call. I don't think seven's gonna call. I think we're just gonna check, and I'm glad we did. Again, we checked 100%, and then villain 3 checks, and with villain 3 had the opportunity. I do think full house would have bet, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. So nines, he had the eights, he had jacks, which is probably stronger. So we didn't have ace eight in this guy's range, but we could make a note to say, okay, if he's raising that small, maybe his betting range is something much weaker, something like this. And I don't know if I took a note here. No, I didn't. So 3-bet, min 3-bet hijack from cutoff versus hijack RFI with ace 8 off. All right, and then did not see bet on 7-3 board. Let's get that on there. I didn't have ace 8. This is just kind of a tough situation. I do think it would have fallen in his range, that type of hand. He was actually much weaker pre-flop than I expected. So, if he's 3-betting, maybe all the way down to ace 7, maybe not even, I think ace queen, king queen off, maybe king queen off bets that. I would expect him to be raising larger. I kind of expect him to call some of these hands, though. Maybe only something like that. This player did have jacks. He did have a weak pair. That is in his range. Question is, if we bet, is he going to fold it? Maybe if we bet the king, he folds it. But I don't know. It's how it's been played. We check to him. We would have to bet the king, and then probably when the ace comes, we'll probably have to fire 2 barrels. But if he calls, then I don't think we can fire 2 barrels out. So definitely played this passively against 2 relative unknowns. We went. We played how we kind of based it on. Had the jacks in this villain's hand, but we didn't have the ace 8. So, all right. Hopefully you enjoyed it. This is kind of a blah hand, not too. I would say not super interesting, but it is a situation that comes up. We open raise, and then somebody does a min-3 bet on us. What does that mean? Well, usually it means they're pretty weak, and if this wasn't an ace and it gets checked to us, we could probably have bet at that point, and jacks could have folded. All right, if you like this, look tomorrow for another hand.